What if the reason your ideal client events aren't creating more advocacy, more engagement, or a deeper relationship is because you're only solving for half the equation? Because some advisors create amazing experiences, others deliver incredible educational content, but very few know how to combine the two in a way that creates real impact. And that's the difference between an event that people attend and an event that people remember. Today, we're going to talk about how to level up your ideal client events by combining an experiential wrapper with a strategic core to create events that deepen relationships, elevate your brand, and naturally drive client advocacy. Let's get started.
This is The Rare Advisor, a show for financial advisors who want to build and grow their practice through the use of a business model supercharged by recurring and repeatable events. The Rare Advisor is brought to you by the Advisor Protocol Consulting Team at USA Financial.
Welcome back to another episode of The Rare Advisor. I'm your host, Grady, and today we're talking about how to level up your ideal client events. Now, we've done multiple episodes on the concept of the ideal client event, how to execute it, the value of it. But for the sake of brevity today, let me just explain it this way. When I say ideal client event, I'm not talking about a generic seminar or a mass client appreciation night. An ideal client event is a curated invite-only experience designed specifically for your best clients, your AA's and your AAA relationships, with the intention of deepening those relationships, elevating the experience, and naturally creating opportunities for advocacy. These aren't about selling. They're not about filling a room. They're about creating a moment that your best clients genuinely value, and in many cases want to share with someone else. But here's the problem. Most ideal client events look something like this. There's a nice venue. There's a good turnout. People mingle. Maybe there's a speaker, maybe not. And at the end of the night, everyone says, that was great. But nothing actually happens afterwards. There's no deeper conversations, no introductions, no momentum. Why? Because the event had no real anchor. It was all experience without meaning, or it was all content with no experience. And that could be a mistake. Every great ideal client event has two, or should have two components. One is an experiential theme. How does it feel? And this is your Napa wine experience, or maybe it's your rooftop summer social or your winter celebration. This draws people in. It creates energy. It makes the event enjoyable. But on its own, it's just a party. The second element it should have is a strategic theme. And this is why does it matter? This is your legacy planning, your market perspective. You're preparing for what's next, helping the next generation. This gives the event purpose. But on its own, it could feel like a seminar and it could cause the attendance to suffer. Now, understand, don't get me wrong. I'm a big believer in experiential only events, and they can be incredible. You can have a great venue. You can have a unique experience. It can be a high-end social environment. And those are fantastic for building connection and community. And you can even do educational only workshops. And the same thing. They reinforce your value. They position you as an expert, and they deepen trust. Both work. But if that's all you're doing, you're leaving a ton of impact on the table. The real magic happens when you stop choosing between the two and start combining them into an elevated, leveled up client experience. So let's talk about what the fix is. The most effective ideal client events can follow this simple formula. Create an experiential wrapper with a strategic core. Think about it like this. The experience gets them to show up. The strategy gives them a reason to care. The combination of the two gives them a reason to talk about it afterwards. Here's an example. So instead of doing an ideal client appreciation dinner, instead you create an experiential private chef dinner experience with a strategic element of legacy and family conversations that matter. Now you have an event that feels exclusive. It has emotional depth, And it naturally opens the door for clients to think, who else should hear this? That's where advocacy really starts. But here's what most advisors get wrong. They host the event and then they try to force referrals out of it. And honestly, that's kind of a backwards way of looking at it. When you design the event correctly, advocacy should become natural because clients aren't thinking, who can I refer? They're thinking, I know someone who would really benefit from this. And that's a completely different mindset. And it's driven by relevance, emotion, and a shared experience. So if you want a simple implementation plan, here's what I would say. If you're planning your next ideal client event, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. 1, what do I want this to feel like? That's the experiential theme. Secondly, what do I want them to walk away thinking or doing? That's the strategic theme. If you can clearly answer both, you're already on the right track. If you can't, that's a missed opportunity and could be why your events are feeling a little flat. So let me leave you with this. Great events don't just happen. They're designed with purpose. And when you get that design right, you don't just create a good experience. You create a moment that moves people. And those are the moments that drive relationships, conversations, and ultimately advocacy and growth. Thanks again for listening to the Rare Advisor podcast. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss future conversations designed to help you refine your practice and elevate your client experience. And as always, remember, when the why is clear, the how becomes easy. So never lose sight of your why.
This information is for licensed financial professionals only and is not intended for use in soliciting sales from the public. The views expressed represent the opinions of the presenter or their featured guest, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Industry references are generic and not intended to represent actions or beliefs of any individual or entity. Content is only presented to illustrate general principles, beliefs, or ideas and should not be construed as legal or regulatory advice. Trademark and copyright protected. USA Financial and Affiliates.